Who do you think you are? That was actually something said to me by a spiritual teacher that I spent a month with in the Netherlands. Usually it was something that she said when I'd done something that she said I didn't have the authority to do. It sort of became like this steady realization that all of my life I had let people tell me who I am, and she was just one of them. Who do you think you are? It wasn't an actual question that she wanted me to answer, it was a rhetorical question. It was her telling me that I had no authority and that I was a nobody. It was her consistent teaching that all of the authority lay in her hands and that she was the one that made all the decisions, that I was just nothing but a speck of dust, nothing but one of her pawns. For many people, that makes them sit back down. And for a little while, it made me sit back down too. What that brings to light is how much do I let other people dictate my life? One thing that people say is I've got imposter syndrome, but I don't think that is entirely accurate. I think that it's better to name the exact thing that it is that you're feeling rather than just clouding it under the umbrella term imposter syndrome. For example, I made myself smaller for others so that they would feel more comfortable. Not everyone has that who has imposter syndrome. So it comes in many different forms. If I was to answer that question, I would say I am free. I am a being on this earth that is free to believe, to choose, to think, to feel exactly what she wants. It's taught me a lot about my tendency to listen to authority figures and to want to believe that people that are mentoring me are better than me. Because naturally, that is how you would want to improve in life and get better. But honestly, I think it does hinder you as well because I think the wrong teachers just get really power thirsty. They want to make sure that you are completely under their authority and that you will do everything that they tell you to do. We're all human. We all have flaws. So this spiritual teacher, a lot of the things that I could take away from her were legit and were useful, but she was still human and she was claiming to be more than that, be more than any of us. There's that philosophical saying that comes into my mind. I think it's my guides probably reminding me of this, but a wise man knows that he knows nothing at all. So if you ever meet someone who claims that they are some kind of prophet, that you need to sit down and listen to them and do everything they tell you to do, run. Run, 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 run. You're trying to discover who you think you are. That's true. What she said, who do you think you are? Although she didn't mean it as a question. Who do I think I am? Definitely not one that follows what you say. Definitely not one that's going to sit down and sit back and let you dictate my life for the rest of my life. I'm just curious to know if anyone has ever had a similar experience. She would drill these certain sayings into my head, like, who do you think you are? Because the idea is that when I'm no longer in her vicinity, I've gone back home, I'm living my life, she wanted those words to still come in my head whenever I did something that perhaps she didn't want me to do. And this was all phrased as something that was best for my soul. Wow. What a journey that we go on just to discover ourselves, just to develop ourselves, to be better people every day. We end up meeting people that really stick in our minds, and the things that they say is very powerful to us. I don't think that's a flaw. I don't think it's wrong that these things that people say to us stick in our heads. If you think about all the things that you've quit in your life, so in the spiritual work that I was doing, it was compulsory for me to quit most of the things that I indulged in. Many of them were necessary actually for my own well-being. I quit alcohol, nicotine, weed, everything really. I even quit things like caffeine, getting my nails done, fake tan, hair dye, because it was all like to lower my energy, because I was doing energy work. I was being told that this is the rules and you need to follow the rules. Who do you think you are to decide to do it your way? I was always taught that my way was the wrong way completely. Always want to do it your way. Believe me, by the end of the teaching, she had really got that drilled into my head that my way was the wrong way. And who do I think I am? Really trying to shrink me to be smaller. And in my life, like I mentioned earlier, I tried to be smaller to make other people more comfortable. So she was just asking me to do something that I was already very good at, which was be even smaller. I know everything that I'm saying sounds so crazy. Like, why did you get involved with a teacher like that? Well, actually, she wasn't my original teacher. My original teacher was one of her students, and she brought me into the Reiki. And from there, she introduced me to this Essenian healing work, which was all led by her teacher. I went along with it for 4 or 5 years, worked up to master teaching level, and the next step for me was to take over from my teacher, because the prophet had spoken that she was meant to go and take the healings to Pakistan. So I had to take over from her in regards to the healing circle. There was people that came to this healing circle for, I think, like 9 years. People came from all over the country to attend every single month. It was a big responsibility. She had to leave and she needed someone to take her place. And her teacher made that very clear. She did not want to teach me. She found that I didn't move fast enough. I was a procrastinator and I wasn't going at her pace. I'm on a spiritual journey. I'm not going to go at someone else's pace. I thought it was such an honour to go because I was having a Merkaba activation. I'd been doing the Essenian healings and I was going to learn the master healings. I was going to get the stones for the Pleiadian healing circle. I stayed with her and lots of things were going wrong. It felt like a massive thing to me. I knew that I wouldn't come back the same, but I did it all because I wanted to develop my spirituality. I wanted to go deeper into this work because, believe me, the healings, they worked. I had a healing for my hearing loss. I don't wear hearing aids anymore. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, believe me, the stuff worked, but it was all being led by a human being, a very flawed human being. It was like one of the hardest things I've ever been through in my life. She was unrelentless. Every little tiny thing. I still had her voice in my head, and I was like, hold on. Now I've quit a lot of things. So quitting your voice in my head is something that I'm absolutely going to do with ease, honey, and without shame. The fear that was put upon us as students was, if you don't do this path, you will experience bad karma in ways that are evil. She taught us that in past lives we did terrible things, and that is why we were going to her, because we had been given the opportunity by God to redeem ourselves by helping others in doing the healing work. Might sound plausible, might sound absolutely crazy to you. Take it or leave it. I always had the desire to help people, but my desire was based on a need to feel important. A lot of the things resonated with me, but I was also taught that I was such a terrible person deep down in my soul that I was just pretending to want to help people. Why would anyone, let's ask ourselves this, who do I think I am? I'm going to go back to that question, okay? I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is that I'm a very kind person. I wouldn't say that that is because I committed horrible crimes against others in previous lives. I would say that that is simply just my essence in this life. If I did do terrible things in previous lives, then Why do I need to make amends in this life if I'm already born with the desire to help others? So what it is really is it's just a way to like push you down and make you feel like you're a terrible person and that she's not. She's going to guide you to the light. I have chronic pain. I have scoliosis. I also have ADHD, which caused me to struggle a lot of mental health issues when I was younger because I wasn't actually diagnosed with ADHD until I was an adult. So naturally, I had some struggles and caused me to develop some fears about the future, some existential fears, like will my pain get worse as I get older? Will I keep self-sabotaging myself because of the way that my brain works? And the fact that I like to flit from interest to interest rather than focusing on one thing. Will I ever get anywhere with that? So naturally, this fear that things were going to get worse was very easy to instill in me. And I think very easy to instill in anyone. I'm so grateful for that experience that I had with that teacher. And I'm not going to go so deeply because I will be here forever talking about it. One thing that has come away is I've always been a free spirit. I've always loved freedom. I've always wanted to travel the world. That's always been my number one. I've always wanted to make a difference, help people, and to learn so much about myself that I can help others, because that has been kind of like my ethos my whole life. I've learned something and I've just wanted to share it with other people and not be afraid to be seen or judged because of that. This kind of experience has made me an even stronger advocate for people's independence and their freedom. Freedom is one of my core values. Who do I think I am? I am someone that knows their core values and what they value the most in life. I am someone that is highly intuitive. I am also someone who friggin' loves science and logic, although sometimes I can be a little bit overly feminine and spiritual. I embrace when someone comes to correct me or give me some logical feedback, and I am not afraid of being different. I'm not afraid of making the wrong decisions because all of it makes me into the person that I am. Who do I think that I am? Well, I am not someone's slave. There are still people that are working out that, wow, you're so much stronger and so much powerful when you are within your own energy, within your own right. You have something unique that you can give to the world. I really believe that. I believe that everyone is born different for a reason. So if you've got someone that's telling you to be this kind of person or conform to a certain rule that restricts you, then that is not the right path for you, because you are always stronger when you're within your own power. As long as you stay virtuous and have integrity and trust yourself, then you can't go wrong. I was very hesitant to have alcohol again, and I decided to try some, and I was fine. I thought, my gosh, if I have some alcohol, I'm going to want to get drunk again. But I have spent over 2 years being completely teetotal sober, and I've really enjoyed that. So that was something I really needed to go through and really needed to experience. When I regained my freedom to choose, I realised how powerful I was and how much I actually didn't trust myself. It was actually essential for me to have that alcohol, because it made me realise, of course I'm not going to fall into the same old habits. Of course I'm not going to over-consume, because I know who I am now. So thank you so much to that teacher, because I'm no imposter in my own form. I'm no imposter to myself. I'm only an imposter when I'm trying to be someone else or trying to be smaller than I actually am. We are all within our own rights to follow our own paths. Don't let anyone threaten you or instill any fear into you, Because if the fear was never there to begin with, then it wasn't yours. It was theirs. And on that note, I just want to ask you, who do you think you are? Thanks for watching. Yeah, like, subscribe, comment, and have a great day.